conceptual perspective to view things. People talk about it as elements, that all of the elements. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is off to a good start. Regardless to where you're at in your day, regardless to where you're at in your week and your month, understand that each moment is an opportunity to take yourself to the next level. I hope to share some things with you today that will inspire you, encourage you, give you some insight into what you may be dealing with, to encourage you to take things to even higher levels. For those of you who are riding a high right now, don't become complacent, don't become satisfied and content with where you're at. Push yourself to go to the next level. But also those of you who are going through some moments that are frustrating and are not indicative or reflective of how you see your life or you desire your life to be, you have to give yourself permission to be in process so that you can consistently move forward, because life is full of challenges. And the one thing I can tell you is there's absolutely nothing worth having that does not come with risk. And with those risks, there will be moments in which you fail. There will be moments in which you fall back. There will be moments that don't look like the picture that you've envisioned of your life in the future. That's okay, because that's a part of the process. It's okay because you're moving forward. The picture that you're looking at that represents your current situation should not be a problem until you accept it as your future reality, and it becomes a part of your lot in life from a victimized mindset. As long as you see where you're at as something that you are passing through. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Marley. As long as you seeing it as something transitory, something momentary, then you're in a good position, because nothing comes without challenges. And if you think you're going to get through these challenges of pushing yourself to the next level without falling and without failing, you're sadly mistaken. So I want to talk to you about that today. Before I do, I want to remind you that we have just launched our skill and high demand programs and courses, where we are literally going to take on the task of training as many people as possible in the new skills that are in demand for this decade, uh, all of which don't require a college degree, which is so important when we look at the number of our kids who are going into student loan debt. And then we got a lot of our adults who are in student loan debt. I've got people that's over 50 that I work with that have student loan debt. Um, and don't get me wrong, obviously, I see some value in academic achievement, but what I can tell you is I got all of mine and I don't owe any student loans. This isn't a judgmental statement. It's just saying you have to be smart about going about the way you do things. Getting these skill sets will allow you to earn more than the average person, be viable and valuable in an evolving job market and economy where traditional degrees are losing value. And simply put, there are very few degrees out there right now that carry the value of what you're going to spend on them in money to get them. That's just the truth. Um, and then with so many people not working in the actual field for which they spent 3, 4, 5 years obtaining, you got to just think smarter and move smarter, and we are going to do that. So if you're interested in learning a new skill, I'm talking about everything from copywriting, coding, UI design, public speaking, Google SEO and Google Analytics, um, content creation, data management. Those are some of the things that we are going to be teaching. A lot of it I personally use and have mastered over the last 20 years. And so I'll be teaching in the courses. Now, here's the beautiful thing about these courses. Then I'm going to move on to what I want to talk to you about today. Here's the beautiful thing about these courses is that each one is going to be personalized based off of a person's gifts, strengths, desires, where they want to insert themselves into the market. That's the beautiful thing. There are literally millions of positions for these skills. and nowhere near the people to fill them. So you literally can choose how you enter the market, what piece of the market you want. This is a great opportunity to step off into something and not just be an employee. Nothing against that if that's what you want to do, but just actually setting yourself up and moving into it and doing some things. So we're excited about it. I'm going to continue to talk about this, moving forward. It's something that is going to allow us to really touch lives beyond the things I do as a personal uh, counselor, therapist, coach, depending on who I'm working with, all of those things. But the personal thing, there's nothing that substitutes for that. That personal engagement, that one-on-one thing is still going to be the highlight of each day that I have, and it's going to have a more massive impact. But learning a skill like this is going to be great. And yes, I know there's a lot of ambient noise in the background. It's a part of being out in this environment, but I need it. I need it badly. I've been sitting in that office for 3 years. Um, and outside of what I do and move around to take care of business normally during the day, I'm in there and I'm working and I'm pushing, and I need the air to breathe. Plus, I need some new space to open up my creativity. I was starting to shrink in that area, so I'll get back in there soon enough. But what I wanted to do is just tell you, whether you want a skill set or not, whether you got kids that are looking to get better employment, or they're coming out of school and they're trying to decide on alternatives to college or something to even supplement while they're going to college. This is a thing where some of these courses you can take as little as 6 months and actually be out there doing your thing. We don't have anything now that extends over 12, but we could be doing that later. Uh, through right now working on getting all of this stuff accredited so it can actually be transferred and used as college credit points if you want to do that. And I'll be doing that through the seminary that I operate as a dean. I've been working with them. We've gotten a lot of the courses that I do accredited through there and actually accepted on the national level and on the catalog at the University of North Carolina. So, these aren't, fly by night things. I work real hard to do what I do, and I've become extremely good at it. And I definitely want to help people be the best they can be in as many ways as possible. And I think this is a great way to get in and get something done and actually win in the process. So that's that. Okay, let's move on. The title here is actually a part of a quote from Nelson Mandela that says, "There's no passion to be found in playing small." Uh, and he goes on to talk about living a life that is nowhere close to being what you're capable of living. And we tend to play small for a lot of reasons. We tend to play small because we're afraid of the risks that are involved in playing big. We play small because we don't want to offend all the other people who are playing small and have no intention on rising to a new level. Oh, we do that a lot. We don't want to be offensive. We don't want people saying you think you're better than me. We don't want people saying you forgot where you come from. We don't want people saying you've changed. So we kind of play small. Everybody else is there. What's the big deal? See, the problem with playing small is that you're never going to be fulfilled. You're never going to have a sense of fulfillment. You're going to always have a sense of emptiness because you're not living life at the level of your potential. You're not living life at the level of your purpose. And so you're going to always feel like something's missing no matter what happens. You need to go for it. You need to live your life on full. You hear me talk about that a lot. And it's important that you understand that there's something in that beyond what you can see. There's something in there that calls for you to step up and rise and live out the true meaning of who you are and your design and why God placed you here. And if you sit up and you play small consistently, you don't reflect God. One of my favorite quotes, and you've heard this before, is by Stephen Furtick, and it says that if the vision you have for your life isn't so huge that it intimidates you, there's a good chance it's insulting God. Why? Because God didn't design you to be mediocre. God didn't design you to be average. God didn't design you to play small. God designed you to be a reflection of the greatness that is within God. Are you really truly representing the greatness of God when you play small? Are you really truly representing the infinite possibilities available to those who are truly walking in their design when you play small? Absolutely not. If you leave anything on the table, did you do everything that you could to be a representation of what God is? Absolutely not. So my thing is, I want to be a representative of possibility. I want to be a representative of God's power. I want to be a representative of what can happen when you truly trust the design. It's not just about trusting God, it's trusting everything that God does. And God designed this. So in the design, there's some power that exceeds what people see as normal. You know, I'm not trying to exceed normality because I want to brag about it. I'm trying to exceed normality because it's my responsibility. The world needs more people to rise to the occasion. Now, that's the first half of it. You don't play small. But what I don't want to do is give you a false sense of what this is like, because you get a lot of that as well on social media and advertisements and programs and webinars and everything else that we have at our disposal in this new developing and rapid developing technological age. And so I want to make something very clear that in doing this and going after something worthwhile, you take on a certain amount of risk. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be foolish. I'm not saying that you're just going out there and you're being reckless. You need to be very aware and calculative in your risk, but you have to understand that the more you reach for, the more risk you take, but there is always a reward in the risk. Even when you fall, just make sure you fall forward. When you fail, make sure you fail forward. What you're doing is you're looking ahead and you're moving forward. Sometimes when you're running, if you're running kind of fast and your footing is a little off, you'll stumble and you'll fall. But even when you fall forward. You know, you're not falling back on anything, you're falling forward towards something. And there's a difference. A lot of people have this mindset of falling back. I got to be safe so I have something to fall back on. But the problem is when you're falling back, you're moving backwards. You're falling back, you can't see what you're falling into. When you fall forward or when you fail forward, you know it where you're heading. You're going to stumble. What you're going to do is you're going to get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving. Life is not about avoiding failure. Life is not about avoiding the difficulties and the vicissitudes of life. What life is about is how many times are you willing to get up and start again? How many times are you willing to sit up, dust yourself off, and keep moving? That's what life is about. It's that simple. And what I can tell you is, as a person who is always striving for and reaching for the fullest extent of what I'm capable of, I fail, I fall, I make mistakes. I have situations where I get caught up in things and it takes a while for me to figure my way out, but it's always because I'm reaching and I'm going after everything I have. And what I have found is that even when I find myself in these difficult moments, that if I remain focused, that if I remain consistent, that if I remain committed, I'm coming out. And the thing is, a lot of times I don't have the answer at the deepest and the darkest point. At the time that I'm looking around and I'm going, wait a minute, this is bad, but I got this. That's that thing that pops in my head. The moment that I acknowledge that something is bad, I'm like, but I got this. That's the first thing I do. And I can guarantee you this. Each and every time that I'm sitting there and I have to tell myself I got this, at the time that I say it, I don't know how. I never know the how at that moment. That's why I've got to tell myself, if I know the how, I'm good. I'm working on the how. But when I don't know the how and I'm looking at it and going, oh man, wow. The first thing I tell myself is, you got this. You're built for this. You are built for this. You got it. It's going to be okay. You got it. When I'm actually talking myself and settling myself with that statement, you're built for this. You got this. I don't know how. Here's the truth. And I've heard Les Brown say this so many times, it's not even crazy. when you're determining that you're going to do something that you've never done before, and you are telling yourself and convincing yourself that you can do it, and you're making the decision to make the commitment to get it done, at that moment, how you're going to do it is none of your business. One of the biggest problems that people have when they're planning to do something new and different is they are looking for the how to confirm their decision. The problem is this: if you're looking for the how on doing something you've never done before, what are the chances of you knowing how you're going to do it? Because if it's something that you really wanted to do and you've never done it before, the chances are if you knew how to do it, you would have done it. So the thing is, when you sit up and say, this is my next move, this is what I'm going to do, you're not going to know how. The how is going to come from making the commitment. A lot of providence isn't even triggered in this universe until you make the commitment to do something. A lot of providence, and matter of fact, the vast majority of the providence in this universe is triggered by the commitment, not before. How you're going to do it, the resources that you're going to need, who's going to be on your side, the team, and all that stuff isn't made readily available until you make the commitment. It's about faith. And faith is the evidence of things not seen. So if you're waiting on the answer, you got to make the commitment. You don't get the answer before the commitment. Then you're not operating on faith. And then you take away a bunch of the power of the universe to produce because you're solely operating on rationale. Ain't nothing reasonable about faith. Faith is saying it's possible when everything around it is saying it's not. But that's where the supernatural happens. It happens in the gateway of possibility, evidenced solely by faith. Nothing that can be seen, nothing that can be known, nothing that can be guaranteed, because then it wouldn't be faith. So then what am I saying? I'm saying that you're going to have some moments where things aren't the way you think they should be. That is just simply going to be that. Anybody out there telling you that once you get this done or once you get that done, it's smooth sailing, nothing's going wrong, everything's going to be great, it's going to be this unbelievably uninterrupted life, is lying to you, and they're setting you up for a big disappointment. What I'm going to tell you is, over the course of a year, I'm going to have these unbelievable highs where I do stuff that other people thought would never happen. And I'm going to have some unbelievable lows, hopefully a lot fewer than I have highs. But I'm going to have some lows where I'm looking and going, what in the hell was I thinking to jump off into this? Because I'm getting my butt kicked. It is. And if I'm not ever in that situation, then I'm not trying as hard as I can. I'm not reaching as far up as I can. And see, we've been trained to play it safe. We've been trained not to take any real risk. We've been trained to just ride the motion and don't make too many waves, don't get out. And so what happens is we never truly achieve anything close to what we're capable of. Well, I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm never going to be satisfied with that. So what do? I decide that I'm going to push it. I'm going to rise. And there are those moments that it puts me in situations where I'm going, okay. And there's something that I'm actually having to do right now that I should have done 4 years ago. And that is construct a larger team to entrust with getting things done. Because my issue isn't what I know. My issue isn't my skill set. My issue is I now have far more to do than I'm capable of doing on my own. And so that puts things in a lull because I'm trying to get it all done and it's not getting done. So I've had to start opening up and doing some bringing in and building a team. And you can start to see where things are starting to come together. And it's, I've created a nice little mess for myself, being stubborn and prideful and, over guarding my intellectual property and a bunch of other things that I should know better than, but I'm human. And that's what I want to get you to understand more than anything is that nobody has it all figured out. Nobody is just out there killing it without any type of things. I'm talking about the guys that are 9 figures to 10 and up in the game are still having situations where they're running into problems. It's no different. You just have more issues with the more you create and the more success you create. You've got more issues around you, but you're still going to have to manage all that. So it's going to be some challenges. That's life. But like I tell myself, you're built for this. You're absolutely built for this. So we're not going to sit up and convince ourselves that there's this magic potion or this spectrum that we can enter and everything just goes great and nothing goes wrong. But we're not going to let ourselves be fearful because of that. We're going to stand up, we're going to rise to the occasion, and we're going to win. On that note, I'm going to step off of here. My plan is to actually come back to you a little bit later in the day and do some more things. If you haven't signed up for the skill and high demands programs and courses, click the link, go to the site, find out which one that you think you fit into. And if you're not in one of those right now, or in the health industry, which you will definitely need degrees to for most of those positions that are going to be high earning and have longevity. In anything else, you're going to have to start talking about tech. How are you going to play and fit into the tech world? What role are you going to play? And there's so many different skills that go into it. Uh, like I said, I've used a lot of them: content creation, copywriting, uh, Google SEO and Google Analytics. Uh, public speaking, obviously, is going to be a big one. Uh, I haven't decided to open up a coaching thing because there's so many different disciplines you got to get to really truly be effective as a coach in a multiple spectrums. Now, if you just want to be a coach in one particular thing, you can master that in a year or two. Uh, Now, how you're able to deliver your product is going to be dependent upon you and your personality and how well you engage with people. But the knowledge side of it can be mastered in a relatively short period of time, as long as you're only talking about one spectrum. I decided to master multiple spectrums so that I can almost help my client no matter what they're dealing with. So anyway, get that. If not, there's some other resources in there, but you definitely need to start making some moves, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else, whether you decide to go the long route and learn all of it on your own. That's one way to get it for free, but I'm telling you, it took me years. A lot of what I acquired wouldn't come through normal courses because I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because I'm dealing with people from a different perspective, and I didn't want to be boxed in. So a lot of things I had to learn, break down, research, go through trial and error, and a bunch of other things to develop to what we have now as the Visionetics concept. But whatever it is, there's a place out there in the market for you, and you've got to forge that in order to have some security in 2020 to 2030. Things are not going to work the way they have worked in the past. We're starting to see that now in a lot of ways. It's hard to go out and get jobs. A lot of stuff is being animated, and that animation technology is starting to evolve more rapidly. So you're going to see a lot more jobs disappear solely because we can make it happen through automated processes. So you got to find a way to still be viable and valuable in this new type of economy. We are working with everyone to try to make sure that we can assist in that. So that's important. With that being said, look, I'm gonna get off of here. Uh, Whatever's going on in your life, trust that if you remain committed to being better, to growing, to moving forward, that you will come out of it. Nothing lasts longer than the process, except for when you accept it as being your future. When you start identifying with the problem, it starts to become overwhelming. It starts to become huge. It starts to become powerful. It starts to become what you expect. And God meets us at the level of our expectations. Not where you're at, not what you're going through, not your situation, but your expectations. Stop talking about what you don't want. Stop straining. Stop stressing, stop pushing, and looking at it. Number one is uh, the old folks used to say trouble don't last always, and that's something I can truly bear witness to, is that I've had some trouble. Man, I've had trouble, but trouble has never stuck with me to the point where it finished me. It made me stronger, it made me wiser, and it became the victim of my intention, the victim of my intensity, the victim of my commitment and relentlessness. And that's where you have to be. So with all that being said, look, if you're ready to make change, reach out, take advantage of the resources in the description box. I would love to work with some of y'all one-on-one. So if you're ready for that, you really want to do it, reach out to me. Let's make it happen. Talk to you soon. As I always say, live your life on full so that you down. On that note, I'm out of here. From a conceptual perspective, people talk about a desire to be successful.